Ladies and gentlemen and NB friends, welcome to the first 18 plus episode of Talkōbon. And not even that, also, let's say we're popping the cherry on the Manhwa episode of Talkōbon as well, because we are talking about a very particular Korean manhwa known as Sweet Guy. Most of you who know what this is, just don't say anything. I have to do this. If you are under the age of 18, please do not proceed any further unless you have no parental supervision, in which case, listen, I don't tell you what to do. But if you are a parent, you don't want your kids hearing about 18 plus stuff, then don't have your kids watching this, I guess. I don't know. It's so weird to have to do a disclaimer at the start of a video talking about nothing, because I'm so concerned about how I'm going to do this thumbnail. I'm going to have to figure it out because there's boobies and stuff, and I'm going to have to figure out how to put that on YouTube. But I'm going to figure it out because it makes too much sense, because this episode is going to be the one before Valentine's Day. Maybe on Valentine's Day I might have to do it. This is going to be a shorter episode because I cannot get a sponsor for this episode. There usually is a sponsor section here where I would talk about a sponsor, but I'm not going to have them on this one because I'm talking about 18 plus stuff. So without further ado, we'll start talking about our subject today. Sweet Guy is written by Lee Won-sik and Hyungjin Park. These are two manhwa authors that I don't really know a lot about. All I know is this particular work that they've worked on. And it is a... How else do I put it? It's porn with plot. It's porn with plot. It's great. Here's the long story short. Sweet Guy is about a guy and has a fairly normal life. Doesn't have a lot of luck in a lot of areas of his life. Not doing so hot. One day he gets a exercise. It's like one of those machines where it's like those electroshock machines where you put it on your abs, you sit down, and it shocks you into having a six-pack. That's not what happens. Trust me, I've used one before. That's not what they do. It's a massage machine, essentially. It's sort of just like electroshocks your muscles into place. However, this one was made by a sketchy company. Then one day when he puts it on, there's a malfunction, and he wakes up feeling pretty much the same. However, it is revealed much later on that after this malfunction, anytime someone touches the titular Sweet Guy, he excites them, arouses them, makes them horny. And without going too far into the rest of the plot, that is basically the entire idea of this story. It is a story about a guy who, goes to get a haircut. That is one of the chapters. He's like, my hair's getting long. I guess I have to go get my hair cut, but she's gonna have to touch me. And if she touches me, then I'm gonna have to bang her. Oh no. And then that's what happens, and it's awesome. There is a overarching plot that has a lot of things going on. There's like a CEO of a company that's trying to figure out how this guy works so that he can have the ability, and he's a real piece of work as well. He's just a bad guy. There is a sort of back and forth with several different girls trying to figure out why they like this man so much. I think that's part of the actual draw to the series, I would say, is there's a lot of these girls that are just like, I just don't understand why I keep needing to go back to this guy. He's just, I don't know. And for a short amount of time, he's trying to figure it out, like, why do all these girls keep just like wiling out on my schlong? It's so weird. Why does it keep happening? And it happens to the men that he touches too, which is why it's very funny in some circumstances. I think it happens to his boss, if I'm not mistaken, at one point. Either that or it's a customer. It's been a minute since I've read it. It's going to be short, succinct, and to the point. It's very good. It's very good. The art is very nice. The girls are drawn very cutely. Weirdly, even though this wasn't my introduction to manhwa, my introduction was really, I would say Tower of God. No, actually, it was The Breaker. The Breaker was my introduction to manhwa. The Breaker and Breaker New Waves. Then I read Tower of God. And then I started reading this and was like, oh, that's what this is. This sort of solidified that This sort of solidified that manhwa style, webtoon style with me. And I have to say, I don't dislike it. There's some people that do not like the webtoon manga style. I can say, you know, there's reasons why you cannot like it, but I don't think it detracts from the story itself at large. And I think, honestly, in this particular case, it really fills out the story. It's quite nice. Another draw for this, and that's something I always forget, is a lot of manhwa, this one in particular too, is in color. The entire thing is in color because it's a webtoon. So there's a dimension of color there that you don't typically get with a lot of manga. But I will say, it doesn't necessarily add or subtract anything to have it there. The main draw is the fact that it's porn. That's what it is. I'm kind of just circling around the fact that, yeah, it's porn. The girls are hot. The concept is like, whatever, I don't care. The girls are hot and they do stuff. It's great. It just also does happen to have a story going along with it. You know, last week, not last week on my channel, but last week in real time, I recorded an episode on Chain Soldier, and this is the antithesis to that argument where it's like, yeah, no, it's a harem manga, so, you know, there's goyles in it doing stuff. But in this particular instance, this is the opposite, where it's like, no, there's girls in this one doing stuff, and that's why you should read it. There just happens to be a plot in the background. Chain Soldier, there is a plot, and there happens to be girls doing stuff in the background. This is the complete opposite. There's girls, they're working it. It's awesome. I'd also say this is probably one that you could, if you do have a significant other, you could hand this one off and be like, hey, check this out. How does this treat you? The censorship, there is censorship, you know, around the dude, where, you know, it's the classic, we can't show a pebis, we cannot show one, so what are we gonna do? I think it's actually handled very, very well. So the member is sort of just this blue entity that is in a vaguely penis shape, and it sort of provides what you need out of that without, you know, actually showing the pebis. And it works very, very well. It works very, very well. The girls are, for the most part, uncensored, and that's, you know, that's fine. That's fine, I guess. Saying that like it's not been the status quo for most all of hentai since the dawn of time. Weird censorship laws, man. They're strange. But yeah, let's talk about the actual plot for a minute. Besides the initial premise, I do remember when I was reading this going, huh, you know, I was reading this for other reasons, but now, much like, what is it called? There's another one. There is, I don't know, I think that one's a actual doujin manga. Parallel Paradise? Yeah, that's what it is. Where it's a similar concept, but very, very different in execution. I found myself going, oh, there is an actual plot here, but there just happens to be porn spewing about in between it. With Sweet Guy, it's a little less pronounced. It's more of like, there's a plot, but you're not here for that. It's more of a subtle reminder as the story does go on, like, yeah, you know, there's a story here, but hey, there's another girl, and what's gonna happen when he touches her? Ooh. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to wrap this one short here. Haha, wrap this one. Gotcha. Ding dong. But regardless, if you're looking for something sweet to read this Valentine's Day, I would recommend starting to read Sweet Guy, because it is a very sweet little story where there is love, there is romance, but most importantly, there are boobs. This has been such a cursed episode. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.